We have an advertising question. What is the best form of advertising for a small 50 call per year funeral home with a small budget? And now, first of all, too, I want to make sure that we don't want to bypass the obvious. So you want to make sure that you have a website with online obituaries. And then I believe that, just having if you're speaking to this funeral home, 50 calls a year, that's one funeral a month. So, probably, 3 days out of the week are really flexible. If you're making arrangements and doing the embalming, and then having the funeral and maybe a visitation, but a good portion of the week is still open or really not occupied with things to do. So I would think a community outreach program would be great in this scenario, and I think it's good in a lot of scenarios, especially since so many people are kind of moving online. It's good to use some of the old school methods because people are kind of forgetting about them. So now, but people still like, those nursing homes and those groups and things like that still need to have some community activities and things like that. So there's still opportunities to do face-to-face stuff. And then I would focus on, just be smart about your stuff and don't think of broadcasting or doing some always having to do some general promotions to kind of everyone. Be specific. So target, I always like to focus on hospice and clergy because those are the people, those are the key influencers when a death has occurred. And you want to focus on those two groups because they can have a great influence. If you can make inroads with them, and all that it takes is just a little bit. And again, you don't need to be talking about the benefits of pre-need at all of these events. For hospice, you can talk about the founder of Hospice and Cicely Saunders. I always remember this because her birthday is my birthday, so in June 22nd. And that's a great time. So maybe in May to contact them and say, hey, we'd like to come to Hospice, and we've put together a little bit of the history of Cicely Saunders, and we'd like to share that with the group. And obviously, once they have a funeral director there's going to be some questions, and you can then maybe follow up with them later. And then also, too, focus on niche groups and people who are kind of passionate. Because if you can cut through that kind of broad noise and focus directly to whether it's veterans, maybe it's the Freemasons, maybe it is Rotary. You can have but make your messages then specific to them. Maybe it's a scrapbooking club, like that would be those people are passionate about that, and maybe it's some knitting club, and you could show them, just say, and maybe it's a big thing in your community, and say, we've noticed that there's a lot of knitters in town, and we've at the funerals that we've conducted, a lot of these people want to know how to display their Afghans or quilts. And sorry if I'm not using the right terminology because I'm not a passionate member of that community, but things like those people they're like totally passionate. And if you can connect with them, or connecting with specific churches and not just have a general conversation with them, but if you're at the Catholic Church, you can maybe then have, obviously if it's cool with the parish, have a chat about Catholics and cremation, or how to incorporate cremation into the Catholic funeral service, and how does that work, and because a lot of people have questions on that. So if you can be seen as the expert in that area, maybe the Jewish community, some of them now are being cremated, and so there's a lot of questions about that, and maybe pair up with the rabbi and say, hey, look, if this is something that you want to address, you can address the the spiritual side of the presentation, and I can address the procedural side of kind of how it works. And obviously, if that's something that they are interested in, you don't want to force something on them that they're not. But focus on those little groups. And I think you're going to be best served that way than trying to have some broadcast message.